NFL Week 4 is here, and this is your DraftKings NFL Week 4 first look. Now, we did pretty good with the first look in NFL Week 3. We had Caleb in there, Roma Dunze. We built around that that Dallas Bears game a little bit. And, of course, CeeDee Lamb gets hurt and kind of harmed some of those game stacks that we're looking to build around that one. But all in all, it was a pretty good week. And more importantly, in week 3, a lot of things were clarified. We had the Patriots there at this point ready to forget about Dre. Ramondre kind of stinking it up. We had Najee Harris go down, vaulting Omarion Hampton into super stud status. We're excited about him. Of course, James Conner with the Achilles injury, thrusting Benson into a likely starting role, certainly starting role, and likely heavy carries starting role. So we have some exciting players to get figured out. We got an injury to Mike Evans. We'll cover all that and more as we take a first look at the NFL Week 4 matchups and then go through the player pool on DraftKings and just see what we're going to be doing for NFL Week 3. So let's start with the domination station, get it loaded up, and we're going to take a look at some of these matchups. Okay, so starting at the very top, we've got a disaster game between the Saints at the Bills. Bills defense all day. Here, you just saw what Seattle did to the Rattlesnake and the Saints. The real question in a game like this is, Bills have a 32-point total. It's massive. Does Josh Allen get a lot of those points? Does it go to the running backs? Blowout run. Danger in a game like that. So we'll have to pay attention to it. Not normally the kind of game that I personally like to stack offenses on because I do want those competitive matchups whenever possible. Then we have the Chargers at the Giants, the new look Giants. Jackson Dart, finally, right? So Jackson Dart finally takes over as the starting quarterback for the Giants. Thank goodness. It was gross watching them last week. And of course, we got the Chargers who have been tearing it up as heavy favorites. Omarion Hampton's in that game. Yes, please. Eagles at the Bucks, 44-point total. That total is a little bit lower than I thought. But the Eagles are proving that pretty much in order for their offense to go off, they pretty much either need to be down in a game or in some sort of situation where they're forced to throw and try to score quickly. And clearly they can do it when they need to, as they showed a little bit last week. So we'll see if this game becomes competitive. That 44-point total, not super sexy. Next, we have the Browns at the Lions, 44.5-point total. Another big favorite situation. It's tough to run on the Browns. I'm wondering if their tough run defense will force the Browns to throw a little bit more. Maybe this is that game where we can go back to Laporta and Amon-Ra. They absolutely did amazing on their Monday Night Football game. So I could see that situation occurring just because that Browns defense is really good against the run. And also, this might be a spot to fire back up the Browns offensive players. I know they don't have a high team total. I doubt they're going to score a lot, but the pricing on like the Jerry Jeudy and Tillman and probably Quinton Judkins is going to be really low here. So might be something to take a look at as we go through the first look at the salaries. Titans at Houston. That's a Houston defense spot if I've ever seen one. The Titans are a team that you really want to use running backs against, but I don't know about these Houston running backs right now. So we'll have to see what we do there. Panthers at the Patriots. And oh my goodness, just in time for Trevion Henderson season. Ramondre fumbling it all away. Antonio Gibson fumbling it all away. Giving it to Gibson. Who's it? What is their aversion to Trevion Henderson? There's something wrong with the Patriots coaching staff. But now I think they're finally fed. They fucked around, and they kept fucking around. And maybe, did they find out? I think so. It's time to play Trey. And we got the Panthers' putrid run defense, which is what you want. So this game, I am interested a little bit in the Patriots offense. And we'll see maybe Patriots defense a little bit. The Panthers are coming off a great game, though. So it's tough to fade them too much. Might be an interesting little back and forth affair, but that 43.5-point total is just not very exciting at all. Washington at the Falcons. Falcons having a dud last week. Can they bounce back? I think so. Normally, teams are not as bad as they look on those bad games, and maybe they're a little better than they look on the good games, blah, blah, blah. So I think maybe the Falcons can bounce back a little bit here. Will we get another week of Mariota helming the Commanders? Maybe. Not sure yet. It's a little too soon. I do know that Terry McLaurin seems like he will be out for the Commanders in this game. So whatevs, right? Commanders, Bill Krosky Merritt Bros, not happy with the usage this past weekend, where a lot of the usage went to Chris Rodriguez. It went to everybody but Bill. So that happened. We'll see if that continues. Jaguars at the 49ers. 49ers, the big 25-point team total. This is a team I want to use in DFS lineups this week. Of the early slate, this is on the high side, certainly the highest semi-competitive matchup in terms of total and spread. I think we'll get Brock Purdy back helming the 49ers this week. Pearsall crushing it for them with the injury to Juwan Jennings seeming to linger on. And of course, George Kittle, not yet back. So it's been the Pearsall show. I'm ready for more of that. Pearsall and CMC on that side. The Jaguars, much tougher to trust. But, at some point, Brian Thomas Jr., let's see if they lowered the price point for him. At some point, we might want to get on board, but I don't know. All right, next up, we got the Colts at the Rams. Rams defense, really good this season, but this game carries the monster 49.5-point total. The Colts have been getting it done. Jonathan Taylor on fire on the season. Indiana Jones at quarterback, absolutely resurrecting his career. This is a better than Sam Darnold level resurrection. Comeback player of the century. Daniel Jones, can he keep it up? On the Rams side, we've got Puka and Devontae Adams getting above a 60% target share in this offense. It's so easy. You could play them both. You play Puka every week. It's one of the challenges with those two players. It's all Puka between the 20s, and then they switch to Devontae in the red zone. And so it's like Puka doesn't get the touchdown, but he scores enough because he's such a beast and he gets so many targets. And then Devontae needs probably the touchdown. He's not catching as many passes, but that's just a matter of time too. He's just not quite perfectly on the same page with Matthew Stafford, but that's not going to take long. That could transform over a week, and it might be this week. So I'm excited about that Rams offense. A couple other high total games here. We got the Ravens at the Chiefs. And, Chiefs games can go a lot of different ways. Both these teams play defense. Both these teams have pretty good offenses. So that's a game I'm curious to see how it goes. But I certainly like Lamar and all that's connected to him in a game like that. It's tough to stack Lamar generally. This past weekend, it was with Mark Andrews. But, we've had the Zay Flowers games already this year. So we'll see how that goes. And finally, the game that actually I think interests me the most from a game stack perspective, Bears at the Raiders. Now, why do I like this game the most from a game stack perspective? Because I can argue that KC and Baltimore both have really good defenses, and both will kind of slow the game down at times. All right. They'll play into the other team's hands. I can argue that the Rams play pretty good defense and might slow this game down. I can argue that the Jaguars stink and therefore might not make this as competitive a game as these numbers imply. But this game, the Raiders at home, they want to sling the football. They're throwing it a ton. The Bears are slinging it, right? Neither team really likely to change that approach, and neither team is good defensively. So I think this game might pop for us. So let's pay close attention to, we're going right back to, I feel like it's the theme, but yeah, go right back to where it worked last week. Why not? All right, let's jump over to DraftKings and actually go through the player pool and get a feel for what we want to do. Again, last week's first look lineup did really, really well. So hopefully we can keep that up here and continue to kind of just get us prepared for the slate. Get ready. Let's talk a little bit also about what happened last week as we go through this. So starting off, we've got Josh Allen in a non-competitive matchup against the Saints. I'm not a big Josh Allen in a non-competitive matchup guy. Put up 23 last week. Okay, fine. He might get it done. I don't mind it. Might even be like a naked Josh Allen week where he just kind of cruises his way into the end zone a couple times. But there's certainly a big possibility here that the Bills just kind of hand it to Cook and Davis, even like random tight ends and running backs getting touchdowns here. So we'll have to see how this game plays out, but certainly not a competitive matchup. Lamar, on the other hand, is in a very competitive matchup here against Kansas City, at least potentially. The Kansas City offense does not look good at all, though. I'm not absolutely convinced that they can even keep this game competitive. Like, I might be hammering Ravens over at the old sports book before all is said and done. But, Lamar Jackson coming off a 30-point game for his team, another 27 points. This guy's averaging 27.6 fantasy points per game. That is ridiculous. He's the first quarterback that jumps off the page. And if I'm paying up for a quarterback, he's a strong candidate. But wait, there's more. Down here at 6,700, a solid, $700 below Lamar Jackson. We've got Jalen Hurts at Tampa. Now you might be saying Jalen Hurts isn't averaging as many fantasy points per game as Lamar, and that's true. And this game has a slightly lower total. True. But this could be a competitive matchup. As long as the Bucs can make a game of this, the Eagles will definitely be able to sort of match whatever the Bucs are putting out there. Bucs also have a very good run defense, Vita Vea in the middle, which might force the Eagles to throw a little bit more than they normally like to. All of that combined could lead to a really good output for Jalen Hurts. We saw last week what happens when Jalen Hurts starts throwing the football. A.J. Brown finally wakes up, has the big game. We talked like this could happen, and there it was. 10 targets is all it took, 25-point game. That's going to happen. Again, Smith as well. Whenever there's a target spike from Jalen Hurts, it seems like Smith also tends to benefit. Of course, that makes a lot of sense, so why wouldn't he? But if we're playing Hurts here, we got to play him with one of those guys. And, of course, a bring back from Tampa. That's how I would build that type of line. We got Baker Mayfield here on the flip side of that game. I'm not sure if I'm excited about him as much. I mean, he can sling it, but with Mike Evans likely out, I'm very much, of course, going to go back to Ikbuka. And it looks like Godwin will return maybe for this game, which I don't really think he's going to be super effective his first game back, but could be interesting. Jared Goff here at 6,400, probably no. Herbert at the Giants, also not going to super excite me. I'd rather pay down for a quarterback or pay up. Kind of don't like this middle zone very much at all. To be honest, Purdy at 6,100, I guess if he came back, might be a little bit interesting in that matchup. Not going to go crazy for it either, but I guess interesting. Keep him in the player pool levels. Mahomes, I mean, come on, bro. Such a bad game against KC, but he's had a couple good games so far to start the season in situations kind of like this. So if the Chiefs are going to keep up in this game at all, Mahomes will have to be slinging it. So I want to pay attention to this one because I don't see Kansas City really shutting down Baltimore defensively. So I think Kansas City is going to force Baltimore to have to throw and just play, let's call it aggressive offense. And if that's happening, Mahomes is going to have to answer. They're saying that he might get Xavier Worthy back for this one, but I'm not sure there's enough weapons right now in KC with Worthy certainly minimized, with Kelsey, tailored, and with Rice still on the shelf. It doesn't seem like they have enough weapons there to kind of keep up. But let's pay attention to Tyquan Thornton in that game, who seems to be sort of one of the better of the remaining group. And, Hollywood Brown's still there. I'm not a big Juju Smith-Schuster guy, but, again, it's a challenging offense to really stack around. But I think Mahomes, if the Chiefs are staying in this game, Mahomes is doing something. So I really want to think about that over the course of the week and kind of how to strategize attacking this game and really the KC side of it at home. Stafford at home against the Colts. I'm always going to favor, not using Stafford in DFS lineups. He's only, he's thrown for 5 touchdowns. He's averaging 15 fantasy points per game. These are mostly wins, but high scoring affairs as well. So Matthew Stafford just has a difficult time getting those big numbers up. It can happen. I mean, he dances around it here. 298 yards, 2 more yards. He gets a 3-point bonus this day. And, he's at 21. And, maybe if he gets that second touchdown, he can get to 26. And so there's like a 26 in the range of outcomes here. I'm not sure that matters that much, though, on a slate like this. But let's get into the next zone down here. And I'm very excited about this whole zone here is really interesting. But certainly Caleb Williams, I think we can go right back to it. After last week's smash, he's had 2 smash games out of 3. Last week, he did it all with the arm. Didn't need to run for many yards. Still had 5 rushing attempts. Didn't get a ton of yardage running the football. Did not get the bonus, but wound up with the 4th touchdown. That got us to that 29.1 number. It's quietly been a really good year for Caleb, but you got to understand what's going on here. The Ben Johnson offense, they're learning a brand new offense, a dynamic one. It's going to take a minute to learn it. I guess this is an excuse we could use for Trevor Lawrence in a minute. Hey, learning the Liam Cohen offense. But it does seem to be happening here with Caleb Williams. They seem to be improving offensively, or at least they certainly did between week 2 and week 3. But every single game, Caleb has put up a respectable fantasy points. So I'm going to plug in Caleb as once again to follow up last week's Caleb. We're going back to it. But there are definitely some other pay down options here that I'm excited about. Daniel Jones, of course, as well. Indiana coming off the dud at Tennessee. Didn't need him. 41-20. It was all Jonathan Taylor. I think it's going to be a lot harder to lean on Jonathan Taylor against the Rams defense. The Titans are funneling to the running back. The Rams are not. So we could get the arm going again for Daniel Jones. And let's just take a look. Who's he connected to? Who's he throwing the football to? We have a tool for that, of course, the matchups tool, but I'll just get a brief glance. 3 targets for Josh Downs last week. I think Mikey Pittman was the guy, 6 of 6, 73 yards and a touchdown. Got another solid score. So it looks like Pittman is kind of the guy. Let's see not Kyle Pitts. What the heck is he doing there? Pitt. Let's see Pierce. I saw Pierce get banged up after one of the plays. So I'm not sure if he's going to still be out there this week. Check the news on him. Concussion. I don't like the chances of him returning. That leaves Adonai Mitchell. Or what it actually does is it does maybe put Adonai Mitchell in the game, but it also probably leaves more targets for the other guys. And of course, the tight end. The tight end is a big part of this team as well. Here, 5 targets, 3, 7, 9. So the target number's going down a little bit. The salary still hanging around. So for our Daniel Jones lineups, which I will definitely have as well this week. Looks like we can go Warren. Pittman will be the top stack. Speaking about quarterbacks that are tough to stack, Drake May coming off a decent 21-pointer last week, decent against his salary, and all of the production really went to Hunter Henry. So again, do with that what you will, right? If I'm playing him, it's really tough to pick one of these wide receivers. It's usually going to be Hunter Henry. I'm not sure this matchup favors him. I really like Trevion Henderson here against the Panthers. So we're going to be focusing a little more on the running backs there. Geno Smith, slinging it. Trey Tucker went crazy last week. Geno put up a decent score, threw for 289 yards. Gets the, even in the loss, he's out there just slinging touchdowns. Trey Tucker, at some point, they're going to throw it to Brock Bowers. My guess is that injury that Brock Bowers got in week 1 is more significant than was let on. And he's kind of out there, but clearly they're not featuring him right now. They're featuring everybody but him and not seeing as much Jacoby Myers. That being said, I'm not in love with home underdog quarterbacks that much. But I like this matchup. You got to love the Chicago defense as one to target, especially with a team that's playing at home. So we're going to be on the Raiders in one way or another. I'm not sure if it'll be through Geno. Maybe it will. CJ Stroud, no. Trevor Lawrence, he's almost unplayable at this point until something happens on the road. I don't like it. Phoenix was a disaster last week, almost like benchable. 18 for 36, throwing interceptions, looking like a rookie out there. Not looking good. It's not looking good for Phoenix. Time to panic. It's time to panic on all of the offenses. Drake London, should we sell? Bijan, can he get it done with an incompetent quarterback? My guess is Penix will be better this week. I don't know. It's just a guess. Hope. Not ready to panic yet on Drake London or Bijan, but it's concerning. It's concerning how bad some of these quarterbacks look. Like I said, with Trevor Lawrence, it's just concerning how bad he looks. Now with Penix, that game is concerning. Russell Wilson looked terrible. And he gets benched in favor of the Dart, who is down here at 4,500. Should we have some interest in Dart? Sure. Why not? Right? I'm cool with it. So for our quarterback for this lineup, though, I'm going to leave Caleb Williams in there, but I have interest. I have some interest in Dart this week, a little bit. It's a tough matchup on the road. It's definitely not, or it is at home, but again, the Chargers are a good team, so it's not where I want to go crazy, but I definitely want a piece of it. I want a little taste. I want a little taste of the Dart. I'm going to be interested in Daniel Jones. Certainly Caleb. Maybe a little Geno. Hurts, Lamar, Josh Allen. Sound about right? Maybe Jaden if he plays, but I don't know if he will. All right, let's move on to the running back position for NFL Week 4, and it starts with Christian McCaffrey up top. Let's see what he did last week. I think he did pretty well. He was in a lot of my lineups. There we go. Got a 24. We haven't really seen the crazy 36-point game from CM Sizzles just yet, but he's been remarkably consistent putting up these 24s. I told you at the beginning of the season, this $7,300 price tag was a gift. You won't see it again. They gave you a little present on week 2. Didn't take it. Week 3, 8,200. We're up to 8,500 now, and he is starting to become priced correctly. At 8,500, we need 8, 16, 24, 32, 34, 35-ish points to kind of pay off on the salary. So, there's a big, let's call it, there's a lot to do here. It's a big hill to climb, but I think McCaffrey can get it done. I like him at home in this spot. Bijan second best here, 8,200 home against Atlanta. Bijan in that horrible game. So here's what's exciting about Bijan. Even last week, he did terrible. The team 30-0. They lose 30-0. The team could not have looked any worse. Bijan's still in there looking like a stud. He's still getting you 16. If that's the worst case scenario, he gets you a 16. That's not bad. I'd like to see the ceiling for Bijan at some point. These games are just mid 20s, 8, 16, 24. So at a 24 is just 3x salary. That's not even tournament levels. That's part of why it's better to pay down a lot of times at running back. When you get those pops, it's just so much more valuable in your lineup. But, the pop is coming for these guys too, I think. Jahmyr Gibbs coming off a pretty big Monday Night Football extravaganza, 27 fantasy points. One of his most used games, but also Montgomery had 3 touchdowns in that game as well. So the Lions continue to feature both running backs, not one or the other. They feature both. And it's important to note that Cleveland defense is nasty versus running backs. I like that. This is why I kind of like these pass catchers for the Browns. That's kind of why I think that maybe Jerry Jeudy, maybe Tillman, something like that. Maybe the tight ends, something like that. Fannin, Njoku, something like that in this game could pop. Saquon Barkley at Tampa, not the best of matchups. Barkley not quite getting it done like he was last season. So far, we haven't seen that big game. Only 2 touchdowns so far. The dam is going to burst at some point, and the floodgates are going to happen. This is a tough matchup, but nothing too crazy. It's tough because Vita Vea and, Tampa defense is pretty good against the running back, but I just think Barkley is better than that. Speaking of tough matchups, Taylor has the number 1, Jonathan Taylor going up against the number 1 ranked Rams run defense. So that's tough. But the flip side is Jonathan Taylor's the number 1 running back right now, scoring the most fantasy points per game and absolutely crushing it. So this one can go either way. Derrick Henry could be interesting as well. Wow, look at that salary coming down for Henry. Was all the way up to 8,200 after that smash week 1. He's down to 7,200 here. I still like Henry in the spot. Kansas City run defense is pretty good, but Derrick Henry's gonna do his thing, right? He's gonna smash when he smashes. James Cook in a smash spot as well. Heavy favored Buffalo team. He's been getting the touchdowns. He's doing his thing already. No reason to doubt James' spot. So, yeah, these are all interesting plays. There are some super bargains, though, coming up. So, yeah, so far, McCaffrey, great. Bijan, sure, right? Barkley, all of these studs are pretty good. I probably prefer McCaffrey the most out of this group right now and at first glance, but, the week will press on and we'll think it through. James Cook as well looks pretty good, but there are some bargains coming up in a second. Bucky Irving, again, tough matchup, Eagles defense, but Bucky's getting all the looks for his team, 25 carries, 4 targets. This terrible score aside, Bucky got all the work last week. So far it's not kind of all come together for him. And it's been, I don't know. Am I making excuses for him? I don't know. I'm not making any excuses. It has not come together for Bucky. Kyron Williams, and so we get this is where we gap down on salary. Note that we're going from 6,900, so the upper tier, Bucky, Cook, that's that group. And now we get to the second tier, probably where we want to be getting a lot of our running backs from this week. Kyron popped a little bit here against the Eagles last week, 20 carries, bunch of targets, finally got some targets. That's the key. His non-passing game usage has been disastrous for his fantasy production. He gets a receiving touchdown, finally, and puts up an acceptable, but nothing special 19. So Kyron Williams, okay. I'm actually curious, Blake Corum, at usage. We have our usage charts, of course, at DFS Army, but this is just a brief glance. So Blake Corum gets 8 carries, nothing special, being worked in a little bit, though. Let's get more towards the part of the running back group that I'm more excited about. Ashton Jeanty continues to fall down the salary ladder, the usage ladder, everything. 0 targets this past week at Washington. And they're just finding that with Jeanty, he's not quite there when it comes to pass protection, according to the coaches. And so it's costing him playing time. We haven't seen any real explosiveness out of Jeanty just yet. It's just been nothing special. So at some point, the breakout is going to happen, but it just hasn't happened yet. We got to wait. Kamara is a no-go for me at Buffalo. Kamara's been a no-go for me most of the season. I made an exception and played some shares of him last week, and I regretted it. Of course, that was a complete disaster from New Orleans, but it's a reminder. Don't play running backs on bad teams that are going to lose. That is not a difficult thing. I talk about it all the time. Try to avoid running backs on bad teams that are going to lose. Yes, we get sucked in. Somebody actually in the comments, it's funny, of one of these videos that I made, was wondering why I didn't want Pollard, or I haven't played Pollard. Why haven't you been playing Pollard? Projects well. And the answer is very simple. I don't want running backs from teams that are heavy underdogs that are probably going to lose, especially running backs that don't catch a lot of passes. That's why you might make an exception for a Kamara, but you shouldn't. Like the exception for Kamara is, well, he's going to get 6 or 7 passes. The team plays from behind. It doesn't matter. If the team is a massive underdog, they just all kind of quit. They don't run the football. It just doesn't work out well for running backs. It never has. There's all the data in the world to back this up. Just avoid them. Chuba Hubbard, underdog running back on the road at New England. Has he had a good game yet? No. Acceptable, though, but not anything special. We need 6, 12, 18. So he's hitting 3X on most of these games. We need the 4X to really be excited about it. But one thing I'm concerned about with Chuba is just I don't know about usage. It's just the total touch count has not been that great. I'm seeing kind of under 20 touches all 3 weeks so far. And I'm wondering, is it Rico Dowdle? Like, is Dowdle getting on the field a bit? Yeah, well, there it is. Dowdle, 10 carries and a target. I don't like that at all. Now, this was a blowout run, so maybe we have to ignore it. But I still got 6 carries and a target the week before, and that was not a blowout. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a ignore or this is now kind of like a 60-40 situation or a 65-35, which is really not what I'm looking for. It's not cheap enough for that. Don't worry. We're about to get to it. So first up, one of my favorite plays on this slate, the breakout. The seal was broken last week, guys. The seal was broken on Omarion Hampton. Take a look at what happened after Najee Harris came out of the game. 7 targets, 6 receptions, 19 carries, the touchdown, everything you want and more from your running back. Are you kidding me? And now he gets the Giants, the 28th ranked Giants. Boner alert. Get in my lineup, Omarion. Get in my lineup. Get in there. Love Omarion Hampton in this matchup. The seal has been broken. He drank. He's been at the bar drinking Guinness. 1, 2, 3 pints. Holding it. After the 3rd pint, bathroom trip. Seal broken, and now the seal has been broken. More big things in store for Omarion Hampton this week against the Giants. Love of the play. Let's see what else we can find. There's some other plays. Travis Etienne, probably playable at San Francisco with such a close matchup, such a close spread in that game, but it's going to be hard to stomach it, is all I can say. I haven't played him yet this year. Montgomery, no. Pollard, right? Once again, are we taking losing players, underdog running backs? Is that a good idea? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think? Should we play underdog running backs? Now, there are exceptions. There's always exceptions. No rule is a hard rule. Will we find an exception on the slate? We'll see. But I have another one that I'm excited about. But let's talk about a few other names here. Quinshon Judkins, unleashed. The beast has been unleashed. I actually don't mind him. Yes, underdog, and I just preached against it. But I actually don't mind Judkins. I don't know why. He just looks good out there. I mean, running it. He's angry. He's got, I don't know, he mirrored the David Njoku hairstyle. He's got the blonde on the one side. He's out here looking like a house, not Targaryen, but House Valerian person. That blonde hair, but running like a beast out there. A young Derrick Henry. Beast mode. Catching targets too? The kid can catch? Excuse me? That wasn't part of what I was told what he could do. Anyway, he's low cost, interesting play, but of course, the Browns are massive underdogs in this game. I'm going to get too excited about that. Cam Scatterbo, another one. Tyrone Tracy, down for the count. Going to be gone for a few weeks, and Cam Scatterbo will have all of the touches to himself. Will that be enough against the Chargers at home? Again, as much as I preach, don't play the underdog running back. The Giants have the new quarterback coming in. If he plays any kind of competent football, I do think that Cam Scatterbo will be relevant this week, and the price makes it acceptable. So I'm interested in Scatterbo. But the next player I want to plug in this lineup is the aforementioned Travion Henderson. So at some point, I thought that the Patriots had forgotten about Trey. I was watching the game, right? I see Dre fumbling away his opportunities, right? As usual. Ramondre, fumble, right? So they're like, all right, it's enough. And by the way, I bet on the Patriots. And it's partially my fault. All those fumbles. I bet on this team. And of course, they're fumbling at the goal line. They're fumbling at the end zone. They're giving the game away. They gave that game away to the Steelers last week. Sorry, Steelers fans. You didn't do anything. They gave it away. And at some point, I was like, did they forget about Trey? What's going on here? They take out Ramondre and they put in Antonio Gibson. That guy's still in the NFL? Yes, that's right. I didn't know. You didn't know. Now we all know. Antonio Gibson, still in the NFL. Who knew? Anyone but Trey. And you know what Antonio Gibson does? He fumbles it. And I'm like, what are these guys doing? Did you forget about Trey? What are you doing? Put Trevion in there. Ends up doing pretty well. Catching passes, getting rushing yard attempts, all that. I am not going to forget about Trey. I'm playing Trey all day. I was going to keep going with a rhyme on that. And then I'm like, nah, it's getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. I was going to like throw a little rhyme in there, like a Trey all day, what you got to say. Then I was like, no. That's just lame and cringy. I didn't want to be cringy. I want to take it to that level. But I'm not going to forget about Trey here. So, yes, Trey Henderson, unleash the beast. Yes, please. Load it up. Rookies. Look at all these youngsters. We're going with the youngsters here. Any other running backs of interest on this slate? No. No one else of interest. All right, let's move on to the wide receiver position for NFL Week 4 and start at the very top. I mean, Puka Nacua at this point cannot be stopped. 30+% target share. He's doing all this without scoring touchdowns. 25, 26, 28. Just lock it down for 26, 8, 16, 24, 32. All that's missing to get to the 4X with Puka is the touchdown. Will he get it this week? Probably. Nico Collins also broke out finally. Even with dropping passes, a couple of them dropped a touchdown. Didn't matter. 8 for 11. I think he got a fumble. Great game. Actually helped me win a ticket. Another ticket. Did I tell you guys I won another ticket to the Pocket Mini final this weekend? That's my third ticket trying for 2 weeks. Are you guys not? All right. Let's pause for a second. Mental note. Nico Collins. Guys, I don't know if these contests are in the lobby yet, but I'm going to remind you. There is this Pocket Mini. Let's see if no, it's not here yet. All right. So they don't load them until like after I record this video. Let's put it that way. We'll talk about that. But don't forget to reserve entries to the Pocket Mini Max Championships qualifiers. I've got 3 tickets already. I'd love to see all nets dominating that contest. The final is a showdown for the Super Bowl, and you win all these tickets, and it's this big money final, and it should be a lot of fun. It's super easy, or it's not been that. I've got 3 of the tickets already, and I've only found out about the contest last week. So I'm going to keep going for those tickets, and I hope you guys do the same. It's a really fun way to practice using the DFS Army Domination Station Optimizer in contests that aren't that expensive. Like one of the contests costs a penny. You know, I make 150 lineups for $1.50, $1.50 lotto ticket. You can't even buy a lotto ticket for $1.50. I've won. And there's a 10-cent one that costs, I guess, $15 to max out. There's a quarter one that costs like $37 to max out. So you can just max out all of them each week fairly inexpensively and practice using the Domination Station to attack GPP tournaments. The technique and approach is the same as if you were attacking a Millie Maker or anything else. Anyway, back to Nico. Nico, really good. Broke out last week. I could see it continuing here. I prefer Puka, same price, but Nico could surpass him. He's got touchdowns in his upside. Amon-Ra, breakout game as well this past weekend. Here finally got kind of a decent score. More big things probably ahead for him. Malik Neighbors coming off the dud. Ugh. Watching Russell Wilson was just disgusting. I'm so happy it's Jackson Dart at this point, but I don't know if Jackson Dart's any good. So, you know, tough to trust Malik Neighbors in that situation. Mike Evans, doubtful, probably not going to play. They are saying that Godwin will play, so he could be back this week, but I think it's going to be another Emeka Ikabuka game. Interestingly, looking at my dynasty leagues, I don't think there's a league where I don't have Ikabuka. I was so high on him coming out of the draft that basically no matter where I was drafting in dynasty, I wound up with him. So if you're going up against me in dynasty and you're watching this, sucks to be you. Hate to see Ikabuka there. Zay Flowers overpriced at $6,700. Don't like that. Ladd McConkey going to have to keep coming down in price until he sort of catches up with where he is supposed to be. Ladd McConkey no longer really even the WR1 for his own team with Keenan Allen there. It just kind of causes Ladd McConkey to get fewer targets. And it doesn't mean he's any less good. He's still an awesome player. If you're in a dynasty league, you should be trading for Ladd McConkey. But the other thing that's hurting him is the emergence of Quentin Johnston, who's really good. So between those two things, Ladd McConkey is just overpriced for the role that he's in right now. I'm not interested. A.J. Brown just requires a Hurts big game to matter. So that's really always just a guy I only want to pair up with Jalen. But Rome Odunze, is this the WR1? Is this the alpha? I think so. I think he might be. It has not been DJ Moore. It's certainly not anyone else. So it's got to be Rome Odunze on this team. And I don't mind pairing him up with Caleb Williams in this lineup. So I'm going to just drop him in here. He's one of the plays that I like a lot. Let's not ignore Devontae Adams either. He's not really catching. He's getting as many targets. Like he's getting Puka level targeting. The issue with him is just they're not connecting. But when he starts connecting with Stafford, and he will, things are going to go bananas in a hurry, and it'll be too late to get on the bandwagon. So I like this spot for Devontae. I like Puka more, but I like the spot for Devontae. And I like Devontae to get a touchdown in this game. Brian Thomas Jr., is it time to panic? Should we be panicked? In redraft, I would say you should be concerned. Yes, it is almost time to panic. The good news is he's not hurt. There's nothing going on. The bad news is he just cannot seem to connect at all. I mean, these returns, these are emblematic of a bigger problem. It's not that he's not getting targeted. For some reason, him and Lawrence are on such a different page. They seem to be living in different worlds. They're on different pages. They're in a different book. This guy's in Game of Thrones, book 3. The other one's in Harry Potter. That's what kind of a page difference he's on with Trevor Lawrence. 1 for 7, 4 for 12, and 2 for 6. This is unacceptable. It is something to be concerned about. I'm not playing. Deebo Samuel with no Terry McLaurin there. I like it. I like it a lot. So he would be somebody that I will be interested in this week as well. More so if Jaden Daniels is playing. Maybe less so, but still interested if Mariota is playing. Yeah, Godwin might come back this week as well. J-Mo Williams, not my kind of guy for this kind of game. Ted McMillan has been wonderful this year. 8 targets last week. Really interesting. Randomly just didn't do much in that game, but they didn't really need to do that much, to be honest. This is the spot. This is where we need to go. Listen, this is getting ridiculous with Drake London. The targets have been there. The play of the quarterback has not been good, and therefore Drake London is not really excelling. We've got to go back to it. So I'm less panicked about Drake London than I am about Brian Thomas Jr. I still think Penix can get his swagger back. And if he does, it's going to be heavy targeting of Drizzy Drake. So I don't mind him. He will be in my player pool. Ricky Pearsall is almost a lock button, I think, at this point. With again, we got to watch Jawan Jennings' status, actually. As long as Jawan Jennings remains out for the 49ers, I just don't know where they can go with the football outside of Pearsall. They're going to throw it to CMC. They're going to throw it to Pearsall. There's no choice. They have no choice in the matter. So I'm down with that. Let's see. Quentin Johnston, I mentioned him earlier. Really, really good play to start. Look at all these targets. 10 targets, 7, 7, 10. Is he the WR1? Is it Quentin Johnston and we all were fooled? Probably. The answer is probably yes to that. Jacoby Myers coming down in price here, 5,400. After the big Trey Tucker game, wouldn't it be nice to bounce back with a monster Jacoby Myers game? I could totally see that happening as well. I love this price. He's going to be one of these guys that pops like crazy in any sort of projection model just because of that volume and that share of the targets relative to the salary. So he's going to be popping. Yeah, Keenan Allen priced up where he's supposed to be. Now Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston are kind of priced together. And you can see here, Keenan Allen, 10, 7, and 11 targets. He's been spectacular. It was a core play week 3 and week 2. It's been great with Keenan. Guys, at the beginning of this breakdown, we talked a little bit about the KC offense and where is Mahomes going to go with the football in a potential high-scoring affair. It could be Hollywood Brown. It hasn't been, but it could be. He had the 16 targets week 1. It's slowed down since then. Hasn't really done a whole lot on the scoreboards or in our fantasy production column, but I don't mind it. He's going to be in my pool here. Chris Olave also. I mean, the targets are so plentiful, even as an underdog, even in bad matchups. I think we have to just maybe keep playing him. I don't know. It's kind of gross. Pittman, really good for my Daniel Jones lineups. I'm not sure that would be a standalone play. Scrolling down to the lower cost wide receivers, Jerry Jeudy is kind of interesting in this spot at Detroit. They're going to be throwing a ton. Jeudy has that skill set where sometimes he could take that and pop. Calvin Ridley, should we panic? I think probably. I did like Ridley coming into the season. I did not realize how inept Cam Ward would be early career as a quarterback. That could turn around at any time. And so it's tough, but I think we have to wait and see. We really need to wait for, the quarterback here to really show that he can play in the NFL before we want to get too crazy with him. Bateman's priced way too high here at this price point for what he normally does, but obviously he paid it off on Monday night. Darnell Mooney, 11 targets last week. Again, really being harmed by the quarterback just not being very good. It's hard to play Mooney at this price with like Drake London, just a couple hundred more. Luther Burden, did we see the breakout? So if you're the coaching staff from Chicago, he only had 3 targets, but 3 receptions, big game. Needed Luther Burden, but not really. You still, Caleb certainly hurt DJ Moore, right? As far as this being repeated, I probably need to see it. So there's 2 schools of thought on situations like what happened with Burden. On the one hand, you could say he only got 3 he was only in the game for 30% of the snaps, 3 targets. Nothing has changed. He's still just like the WR4 kind of for this team. Okay, that's what he was last week. But the coaches, did they not see what he did when given opportunities? Does that not excite the coaches to give him more opportunities? We'll talk to Bobby Wow about it, but I could see Luther Burden, the coaches seeing the film and being like, oh shit, we need to get this kid in the game. The only one holding him back is Olamide Zaccheaus. No Hunter, Shaheed, no. Has Shaheed even done anything? Yeah, not too bad, but still a no for me, dog. Diggs, Pierce, no. Kirk, no. Booty, Palmer, meh. Tillman, acceptable. Trey Tucker, whoa. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 3 touchdowns. Where did that come from? I think he's in the player pool. I'm going to put Tucker in the player pool. We'll put Downs in there. Sterling Shepard makes the player pool. And some of these names down here are really interesting. Tyquan Thornton. This might be the guy that's the best pairing with Mahomes and maybe a standalone playable guy. 4K. Tyquan Thornton. Deep play guy for the. So it only really takes one connection with Mahomes to Thornton to make him worth rostering. And if there's a second connection, oh my goodness, right? You can go off. So I like Tyquan a lot. I like him a lot. Omanor has scored a touchdown every week so far. Not super exciting. Yeah, that's about it for the wide receiver position for me anyway. So let's move on and talk defense. Yeah, we'll get to defenses and then bring it back around at the end with our tight end and flex for this lineup. But let's get started here. And with defense, I always like to start at the cheapest and feel my way up to what I kind of think might be the cheapest viable and so on and so forth. So Saints, of course not. Browns, not at Detroit. As good as Browns defense is, I don't like any defense at Detroit. Titans, oh man, this one's kind of interesting on the road. Texans have not been that good offensively. Titans defense has not been that bad, but I'll leave it of interest, but I'm not going to use them here. Jacksonville, no. Carolina, no. Colts, no. Raiders, no. Baltimore, no. Atlanta, no. Maybe Chicago on the road, but probably not. Eagles at Tampa, no. Wow, it's tough here. There's not a lot of viable paydown options. If I'm keeping it real here, we got Washington, Atlanta, maybe, right? Atlanta playing really poorly, but of course I prefer the home favored defense. I'll give a maybe to the Patriots as well at home against Carolina. Carolina played well last week, but 1 week good, 1 week bad with that team. You can't trust them. And, I think these guys are all a little too close in price to, I think, where the really good defenses are. Unfortunately, they are pay-up options. So let's start with some of these really good ones. Of course, we get the Chargers, already a good defensive team, going up against a rookie quarterback making his first start. Those are situations we want to target. So Chargers, absolutely, right? But right above them, we've got the Texans at home against the Titans and their rookie who's looked even worse. So I think I'm going to plug in Texans defense here and stick with that as sort of the lock button defense of the week, where you just kind of play. I think I'm just going to pay up on defense. Lions look really good. Bills look amazing. I don't mind paying all the way up to the Bills here against the Saints as well. So this is going to be, I think, now if we had to pay down, let's just play it out. If we had to pay down, I'd love a home defense, but I'm probably going with the Titans here, just because Houston has been kind of a team in disarray. But what we learned is, in perfect world this week, we certainly want to try and not have a pay down defense. It's just better, right? We can play Tennessee. It's probably going to get you a 3 or a terrible score. The Jaguars, San Francisco, no, on the road. I just don't like it. So the first real defense, maybe Falcons if Mariota plays. I mean, that could maybe be acceptable as well. So there are some maybes down here, but it doesn't look great. I think at some point, if we get to this zone, we might as well just pay our way up to one of these better ones like the Chargers, Texans, or Bills. So, wow, first look lineup has the most expensive defense in it. Who knew? I definitely wouldn't have had that as an expectation going into this. All right. We have a lot of salary left over. Let's see where we're going to spend it. So this is a Caleb Williams lineup, but let's talk through some of these other positions here. Brock Bowers still has not put it all together. 5 targets, 8. Where are those 12, 14 target games? They're throwing it to Trey Tucker. By the way, I kind of forgot about Trey, but maybe I should put him in the lineup. Trey Tucker. I was so busy with Trey Henderson that I forgot about Trey Tucker. 8 targets and 9 targets the first 2 weeks. Maybe this is a guy that we need to be paying attention to. Anyway, just needed to get that in the video. Not to forget about Trey Tucker. All right. But Bowers has not getting it done and been getting it done. Travis Kelce also, I mean, come on, bro. Too many Michelin 4-star dinners with not even, when you're Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift, you don't go to a restaurant for a Michelin meal. The Michelin man shows up at your house and cooks you the meal. That's how it works. He's been eating a lot of gourmet foods, going out to dinner. Brad, DiCaprio's outside. Let's all hang. Let's go to the club. Bradley Cooper's here. He's got Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds in tow. Let's all hang out. And all he's doing is not football things. So that's what happens. Tyler Warren, Tyler Warren. I love Danny Jones already this week, so Tyler Warren could be an interesting play. Let's see what his health looks like. I think he was a little banged up going into last week. Dalton Kincaid coming off like one of his good games. Doesn't happen that often. Mark Andrews, slate breaker last week. Can he keep it up? Maybe. Juwan Johnson's been great week after week after week. Look at the price rise on Juwan Johnson. Another 8 targets, 12, 9, 8. The Rattlesnake loves it. Hunter Henry coming off a big week as well. 11 targets, 8 targets a week. Hunter Henry might be our first look guy here. Nothing wrong with a little Hunter Henry. Dallas Goedert, okay. And Njoku Fannin continues to be involved as well. Chigo Okonkwo, a couple good games. So plenty to choose from. Nothing popping at the lower echelon. Realistically, I got to, none of these tight ends are really popping off the page for me right now. In the context of this lineup that I'm building on screen here, this little Chicago, Las Vegas little stack that's going on, could we squeeze another Raider into this lineup and just go Myers and Bowers? I think that is doable, but it's probably overkill. So I actually want to go differently with this position right now. But I think it might be a little overkill to squeeze him in there. And I think I'm going to go with Hunter Henry here and give us enough funds to grab Puka for our last five. You know what? Christian McCaffrey. I need to get to McCaffrey. So if I put in McCaffrey here, Chigo, Okonkwo. So Chig, 6'4", he's getting some looks. I think it's acceptable. So we could either go Chig here with the last spot, or this is where we say, hey, pay all that money for defense, scale back to maybe Chargers. And from there, we might actually be able to, we got to Goddard. So want to scale back the defense. You know what? I don't want to scale back the defense, though. I like that Buffalo concept. I did. I liked it. So I think we'll leave it there with Chigo Okonkwo and the rare full salary spend on the first look lineup. Let's recap here. We've got Caleb Williams in that high-scoring Chicago at the Raiders game, stacked up with Rome Odunze, with the bring back of Jacoby Myers, same game. So we got a little game stack, a little mini game stack going there. Pearsall, core play from the San Francisco game, assuming that Jawan Jennings remains out this week. We also get Christian McCaffrey in there. No bringbacks from that one. Couple pieces, though. We want to load up on 49ers players when other ones are out. But when everybody's there, we're going to adjust. And at running back, we are playing the rookies, the breakout rookies, Omarion Hampton, Trevion Henderson in the main spots. We found Chigo Okonkwo is all that fit at tight end. We said, all right, let's roll with it, guys. If you're enjoying this content, let me know. Hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed to the DFS YouTube channel. Let me know who your starting stack is for NFL Week 4 in the comments. Who is your quarterback, wide receiver go-to that you're looking to build around for multipliers, for small tournaments, and for single entry contests this week? Let me know in the comment section below. And we will see you guys later in the week with all of the content here on the DFS YouTube channel. Helmets up, everybody. Good luck this week.